Right now, somewhere in the North Atlantic, a 100,000-ton aircraft carrier is cutting through 40-foot waves at 30 knots. On the flight deck, dozens of F/A-18 Super Hornets sit exposed to winds exceeding 100 miles per hour. Each fighter costs tens of millions of dollars. That is billions in American airpower sitting on a platform pitching 20 degrees forward and backward. Here's the crazy part. One broken chain, one miscalculation, one moment of carelessness, and a fighter jet becomes a 40,000-pound projectile sliding toward the ocean. On July 8, 2022, the USS Harry S. Truman proved this when unexpected heavy weather hit the Mediterranean. But here is what will shock you. Despite facing storms that have sunk destroyers and capsized ships throughout naval history, modern U.S. carriers rarely lose aircraft to heavy weather. So how does a crew protect billions in combat aircraft on a moving flight deck when nature unleashes hell at sea? A Nimitz-class aircraft carrier costs billions to build and operates as a nuclear-powered city that never needs refueling. These ships stretch 1,092 feet long, displace 100,000 tons fully loaded, and carry a crew of 5,000 people. But the real value sits on the 4.5-acre flight deck. A modern carrier air wing includes approximately 48 F/A-18 Echo and Foxtrot Super Hornets. Add EA-18G Growlers for electronic warfare. E-2D Hawkeyes provide airborne early warning. Some carriers now deploy F-35C Lightning II fighters. The total value of aircraft alone runs into the billions, sitting exposed on deck. Here is the problem. These aircraft cannot all fit in the protected hangar bay below. The hangar holds maybe 20 to 25 aircraft maximum. The rest stay topside, chained to the flight deck, completely exposed to whatever weather hits. And that vulnerability has consequences. The Truman's July 2022 loss proved it. Then in April 2025, the same carrier lost another F/A-18 Echo in the Red Sea when the ship made evasive maneuvers responding to an incoming ballistic missile. The aircraft was being towed in the hangar bay when its brakes failed during a hard turn at 30 knots. Both the aircraft and the tractor disappeared over the side. 2 incidents. Over $100 million in losses. Storm conditions at sea create an environment that can destroy aircraft in minutes without proper protection. Waves in the North Atlantic regularly reach 25 to 40 feet during winter operations. The carrier does not just sit still, it pitches forward and back, rolls side to side, and heaves up and down. An aircraft on deck experiences all three motions simultaneously while wind speeds exceed 100 miles per hour. The flight deck becomes a moving platform that tilts 15 to 25 degrees in multiple directions at once. An unsecured 40,000-pound fighter jet is not just vulnerable. It becomes a weapon. If the chains fail, it will slide across the deck, destroying everything in its path before going over the side. But this is where things get interesting. December 18, 1944, showed exactly what happens when procedures fail. Typhoon Cobra hit Admiral Halsey's fleet in the Philippine Sea with winds exceeding 140 miles per hour. The light carrier USS Monterey experienced rolls over 25 degrees. Aircraft broke loose in the hangar deck and started fires that killed 3 sailors and destroyed 18 aircraft. 3 destroyers capsized completely. 790 sailors died, and the timing made everything worse. Storms do not wait for convenient schedules. They hit during combat operations, when the carrier is racing toward a crisis. They hit during aircraft recovery, when jets are landing with minimal fuel. The Navy cannot just stop and wait out bad weather, when the mission demands speed. If you respect the sailors who face these deadly conditions every day, write respect in the comments. The solution starts before the first raindrop falls. Every aircraft on deck connects to the ship through heavy-duty tie-down chains and steel deck fittings welded directly into the flight deck. Each fitting is tested to hold 16,000 pounds of vertical load. The Navy inspects every single fitting constantly because saltwater corrosion degrades them over time. During normal operations, each aircraft uses 4 to 6 chains hooked to reinforced points on the airframe near the nose wheel and main landing gear. When storm warnings arrive, everything changes. Deck crews triple the number of chains. Aircraft receive 12 to 14 chains, arranged in a cross pattern that prevents sliding in any direction. Every chain is pulled tight with zero slack. Wings are folded to reduce wind resistance. An F/A 18 wingspan drops from 40 feet to 27 feet when folded. Cockpit canopies close and lock. Every access panel is checked and secured, but the most valuable aircraft do not stay topside at all. 4 massive hydraulic elevators shuttle aircraft between the flight deck and the hangar bay below. The most expensive fighters go down first. Then mission-critical aircraft are moved. The hangar bay provides steel walls, compartmentalized sections with fire doors, and complete protection from wind and waves. Aircraft that remain topside are positioned toward the center of the deck, where motion is less severe. And all of this happens fast. When weather warnings arrive, deck crews may have only 2 hours to secure everything before conditions become too dangerous to work. Securing the aircraft only works if the ship survives. A 100,000-ton displacement and 1,092-foot length create inherent stability that smaller vessels cannot match. The hull spans multiple wave crests simultaneously. Instead of riding up and over every swell, the carrier cuts through the water. The wide, flat bottom positions the center of buoyancy above the center of gravity. Basic physics creates a righting moment when the ship tilts. Active systems add another layer of protection. Gyroscopic stabilizers feed data to fin stabilizers that adjust constantly based on wave direction and force. Nuclear propulsion provides unlimited maneuvering capability. The carrier can maintain any speed and any heading indefinitely without fuel concerns. During storms, the bridge team executes specific procedures. Turn the bow into the wind and waves, because taking waves broadside creates catastrophic capsizing risk. Maintain forward speed to reduce relative wind across the deck. Communication between the bridge, flight deck control, and hangar bay control becomes critical. The air boss, in primary flight control, coordinates all aircraft operations. The handler manages aircraft positions using a scale model board. When the ship makes even small course corrections, every team needs immediate notification. On deck, color-coded crews execute without hesitation. Yellow shirts direct aircraft movement. Blue shirts handle chains and tie-downs. Purple shirts manage fuel. Red shirts deal with ordnance and firefighting. The lessons from Typhoon Cobra in 1944 taught the Navy that crew coordination means the difference between survival and disaster. When the storm passes, the work intensifies. Every aircraft that stayed topside receives a complete inspection. Maintenance teams check for corrosion because salt water can damage electronics, hydraulics, and engines. Cockpit canopies are inspected for leaks. Tie-down fittings undergo load testing to verify they still meet standards. Deck plates are checked for damage. The catapult systems and arresting gear undergo full verification tests. Multiple departments must sign off on every system before flight operations resume. And the timeline is tight. Carriers cannot afford days of downtime. When inspections clear, aircraft launch within hours. This rapid recovery demonstrates why American carriers dominate global naval power. No other navy combines nuclear propulsion, enclosed hangar protection, 6 decades of supercarrier experience, and advanced catapult systems that launch fully loaded aircraft immediately after storms. American carriers do not just survive the storms. They resume full combat operations the moment conditions allow. The next time you see news about carrier deployments, remember what is happening out there. Those aircraft on deck represent billions in American combat power. The crews protecting them work in conditions that would shut down any civilian operation. Every chain, fitting, and procedure exists because someone once watched an aircraft slide into the ocean and decided it would never happen again. The fight is not just against enemy forces. It is against the ocean itself. And through engineering, preparation, and the skill of trained crews, American carriers win that fight every single day.